Hello everyone and welcome to this tutorial. In this tutorial, we will learn to develop Selenium PyTest Framework step by step. So let's begin. Before we start designing a framework, you need to ensure that you should have a Python on your system and you should have some IDE to develop this framework. Okay. So once you install the Python, you need to go to the terminal over here and you need to type python version, and if you see the version number here, this means that the Python is installed successfully on your system. And then you need some ID. For this particular tutorial, I'm using the PyCharm. So let's go to the PyCharm over here. You need to go to this particular hamburger, click on this one, click on new project. You need to name this project. So I'm naming it as Selenium PyTest Framework. Okay, so once you do this, this is the empty project created for you. So it will take some time to create the project, and once this project will be created, we need to install all the required dependencies. So for this framework, we need Selenium, we need PyTest, we need pytest-html because we need some reporting, and pytest-xdist plugin which is used to execute the test in parallel. Okay, so we need to go to the terminal over here, and here what we need to do is that we need to install. So just go to the browser over here and go to this web.org website, search for Selenium, and this is Selenium. Just click on this one, and this is a command. Just copy this one and go back to the PyCharm over here, paste this command and press enter. So it will install the Selenium package in this particular project. So it will install this one, and once it will be installed, then we will install PyTest because we need PyTest as well, right? So meanwhile, I'll go here and search PyTest, and we need to go to this one, PyTest. Click on this one and simply pip install PyTest. Copy this one, go back here, paste it here, and press enter. Now again we need to go back and you search for pytest-html, pytest-html, and this is a plugin for generating the HTML reports. Click on this one, and again we need to copy this one from here, go back to project, paste it over here, and the final thing is that we need to execute the test in parallel using the pytest-xdist plugin. So for that, again go back to the website and search for pytest-xdist. So this is a plugin, and just click on this one, and you need to copy from here and go back to your project and then paste it. Now we have installed everything which is required to build this framework. The first thing is that we need to set up the structure of this particular project. That's really simple. So inside the project, what we'll do that, go to new, create a directory. So inside this directory, we will be writing our tests. Okay, and we also need to create our configuration file, and again just go here, click file, and the name of file will be conftest configuration test dot py. Now configuration file is there, we have test folder there. Now what we need to do is that we need to start writing our test, but before that we will be first writing the conftest.py, because here in this particular file we will be setting up our browser, means we will be setting up the browser and tearing down of the browser, right? So import pytest, right? And we have Selenium. So from Selenium we need to import WebDriver, and then from Selenium dot WebDriver dot common dot by, and we need to import the by format. So we have done already necessary imports. And what I'll do is that basically I will create a PyTest fixture, because we need to set up this one, right? For every test, we need the browser, right? So that's why we are writing this code in the configuration file, and we are creating a fixture over here. So at pytest dot fixture, and the scope of this fixture is basically would be a class. So you can define the scope as per your requirement, right? And here I will create a function browser, and this function will basically set up the driver and tear down the driver. Okay, so I will say driver is equals to WebDriver dot chrome, and then driver dot maximize window, and then we will use a yield driver, and here we will say driver dot quit, right? So our fixture is ready, and what we need to do is that now we need to create our test, right? So in order to create our test, and the test needs to be created under this particular test folder, right? Because our all tests will be there. Okay, so inside this test folder I will go here and create one new Python file. And you know that when we are working with the PyTest, so basically our test should start with the test keyword. Okay, so test underscore Google underscore search. So I will take a Google search example for this one. Okay, and now again we need to import PyTest. Then we need to import Selenium. So what I'll do is that I will just go here, copy these lines of code, and paste it over here. And now we will also make this Google search a data driven search. This means that, for example, if I go here and go to Google, so I need this search to be a dynamic in nature. For example, whenever I execute the test, there should be a new term, and new term should be search over here. Okay, so I will go back, and what I'll do is that simply first I will provide the search keywords, which means that I need a data which needs to be searched. Okay, so search keywords is equals to, so inside this bracket I will be writing some keywords. So the first is basically search for Selenium Python, then search for Python Selenium, and then search for Python Selenium tutorial. Okay, now what we have done is that we have set up our data. Now we need to call this data in our test. So we haven't written our test so far. So what I'll do is that simply I will write a marker, so that now using the marker we can parameterize this thing. So what I'll say, pytest dot mark dot parameterize. And what we need to parameterize, because we have defined the data, and the data needs to be passed to the test. Okay, so here I say search underscore keyword, comma, and this will be coming from search underscore keywords. Okay, now because the in conf test the scope of this structure is class, and based on this I will create a class. So again, it's up to you. If you want this to be on the function level, you can define the function over here, right? So it's basically totally depends on your requirement. So I will create a class, okay, and the class name is basically, I will say test test Google search. So this is the name of class, and inside this I will be creating a function def test underscore search. And now I need what I need in order to execute this Selenium test. Selenium test need a browser, need a driver, right? So this is basically a browser which we have defined over here. We are calling this one here because this test needs a browser. And second thing, what it needs is that it needs a data, right? Which is search underscore keyword, right? This is the one. So I'm pasting it over here. Now, what I'll do is that simply I will say driver is equals to browser, and then driver dot. Now you see that we have get, and we need to go to the google.com. So I will go here, copy this one, and I will go back here inside the double quotes. I will provide this one, and now the first thing is that I need to identify a search box, and inside that I need to search for different keywords, right? So I will say search underscore box is equals to driver dot find element by dot, and here let's go here and inspect, or you can use the selector sub. So simply go here and inspect, and I have a selector sub. So we have the CSS selector, XPath, we have everything. And if I go here, so we have ID, so I will copy this ID from here, or even if we see if there is anything else, we can take from this particular HTML. So let's go with the relative CSS selector or the name, okay, or the from the ID. Okay, so I'll go with the ID, and here I will say dot ID, and the ID is basically this one. Okay, now what I need to do is that I need to go to the search box, and then I need to type. So in order to type this one, we need to use a method called send keys. And now we are not doing a hard coded search. We are going with a data driven, and data needs to be come from this particular search keywords which we have defined over here. Okay, so we need to pass this over here simply. Okay, so basically this is search keyword, this is needs to be passed over here, right? So every time when I execute this one, it will pick the data from the data which we have defined. Now search box dot send keys, and either we can click on search, or we can simply go with the enter over here. What we can do, typing something, and then we can click on Google search, or simply what we can do is that when we are typing, we can press enter. So you might have learned about how we can click on this one, but sometimes people struggle with pressing the enter button. So what I'll do is that I will go with this enter approach over here, and simply for this we'll say keys dot return, and here we need to go here and import this keys from here. Okay, now the keys are import from here, and again let me show you. So simply keys dot, you can see that we have different keys coming up. So this one, right? And what I will do is that I will put some time delay over here, meantime. we can define that on the browser level. We can simply define implicit wait or explicit wait. But right now, just for this tutorial, what I'm doing is that I will simply going here with the sleep time, and I will say like 5 seconds. And now we can assert the value. Now, when we are asserting the value, the challenge here is that whenever we execute this word, it will pick the data from the defined data, right? So we need to assert every time with the value which we are getting from the defined keywords, right? So for that, assert search keyword in driver dot title. Okay, and because this will be coming in the title when we search this one, right? And finally, we will simply let's print this one for our understanding. So I will say search for, and here I will say search for. Here I need to provide the search keywords. Okay, and that's it. We have written our first test over here in with Selenium and PyTest Framework. You can also create a requirement.txt file and you can add the values. So tomorrow, if you share this framework with someone, they can understand what this framework contains and how to run and execute this one. Okay. Now, in order to run this one, simply we can say pytest-n-3 because we have 3 keywords. So press enter. So what it will do is that it will start our test, it will open the browser, it will search for the keyword, and then it will go here and search for second term, then it will go for the third term over here, and you see that all execution happened over here, right? Now in order to generate the HTML, we know that how to use this HTML report, right? So simply, now you see that the test got failed. The reason here is that because we are getting that message because it got detected that the we got some captcha over here. So that's why. Otherwise, the script is working fine over here, right? So pytest dash html equals to report or html, and now let's run this one again. So because of this particular thing, the script got failed because we are asserting that, right? So we will see how to fix this one later, but right now just understand how to create the framework and how to execute the file. And now you see that we got this report.html over here with all the 3 failures. Simply go here, right click, and here you need to go open in Explorer or the browser. So if I go here, Explorer, and simply if I click over here, or simply I will go here and open with Firefox. So this is our report, right? We got this assertion got failed, this assertion got failed because of this particular detection of captcha and everything, right? As it looks really good. So let me summarize this whole framework, what we have done in this particular tutorial, or what we have learned in this particular tutorial is that we have designed a framework which is very easy. First, we need to ensure that we have Python, we have some IDE. Then we went here in the PyCharm, we created a framework project, and inside the project, we added all the dependencies which are required. Like we need Selenium, we need PyTest, we need pytest-xdist for the parallel execution. We need pytest-html for the reporting purposes. So in case if you need any other report like LEO report or something else, you can add the packages or dependencies accordingly. So in PyTest, we have created this test folder. Inside that, we have written a test. But before that, we have created this conftest.py as a configuration file, and here I created a fixture and the scope of fixtures class. That's why we have created a class over here. And we are, this is my setup and teardown of the driver or the browser, that's why we have defined it once and utilized it as many times in our test, so we don't need to repeat this code. Okay, this is the purpose of writing this inside this conftest.py. Then we created our test inside this test folder, and we made it a data driven. So we created the search keyword data over here and use this data in this particular test, right? So now if you want this data to be coming from CSV or the Excel file, so you can also do that. Even if you want to use a JSON, you can use that. So I've already created these tutorials in my Selenium Python series. You just go there and learn from there. But that's how you can run or set up this framework and get the HTML report. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. If you like our content, then do like, comment, share and subscribe our channel. Once again, thank you so much and see you in the next tutorial.